Hello, we're going to be looking at our kombucha SCOBY, and I was going to be looking at this after 5 days, but like with all things that you do in your kitchen, sometimes things get a bit crazy and you forget. So, well, it's not that we forgot, but look at this. So, as you can see, we've got the new SCOBY that's formed up here, and it had a little air bubble under it, and we've got the old SCOBY underneath, the one that we put in. Now, I have looked at this throughout the week, and it was quite impressive because this actually formed a brand new SCOBY within 5 days of it happening. I haven't actually seen it happen that fast. So it was really cool. And you've got all this extra stuff growing underneath. Smells really good. It smells quite sour. Maybe I've let it go a little bit. Oh, that's good. It's even got a little bit of fizz in there. So why would it have fizz in there? I guess that SCOBY had created a bit of a seal or something. That's cool. Anyway, I'm going to go into the secondary fermentation now. So this kombucha, I'm going to be putting into bottles and putting some flavours in there. And I've got this other tea that I've prepared. It's to replace the liquid in here to make another batch so I can have another brew going. In here I've got the 1 cup of sugar, a 1/4 cup of tea leaves. Yeah, Tanny?
I need to go read.
Okay, cool. Might have to pause.
Okay.
Hello, I'm back. So, I've got the tea ready to go to make a fresh batch. I'm going to pour this into a bowl so that I can bottle it up. Ah! That's right. I should pick this out, really. Pop it in my bowl so it doesn't create a big splash. And then I'm going to pour that into some bottles. Maybe, I haven't done this the smartest way, but you know, that's cool. It's good to rehearse things, isn't it? So this next phase that we're going to do is what we call the secondary fermentation. So it's going to carbonate in the bottle, and I'm going to add some flavour to it, and that's we flavour it in the secondary part rather than in our jar with the SCOBY, because if you put that flavour in with your SCOBY, it's going to infuse into your SCOBY and it's going to flavour every batch. So if you want to change the flavour later, yeah, it'll be tricky to get that flavour out.
Are you going to do the same flavour for all these bottles?
I'm going to do a different one just so that give you a few ideas of what you could use. It's been a while since we've done home batch kombucha, but this is what I used to do every week. And it's really fun because you can experiment with all sorts of different flavours, different ways of getting those flavours. You can use fruit juice. I've got a strong herbal tea. I've got some ginger that I'm going to use. And I'm going to keep a little bit of this kombucha to get the next batch kicked off with. Alright, so I'm going to put my next one on to brew. I wonder if I'm going to be as good of a pourer this week. I should do it over the sink, but then you'll see how much mess is in our kitchen, so I won't do that. I did the right amount of liquid this time. Look at this. Cool, so there's my tea. And when I'm putting my SCOBY back in, you've noticed that I have the SCOBY from before and I've got my new SCOBY. You only need one of those. So I'm going to use old fresh SCOBY here. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to put that other SCOBY into here. I've got a little bit of leftover tea, sweet tea. And that's going to act as the food for my SCOBY so that it can last for a long time. Because it's always good to have a backup SCOBY. So that if anything ever happens to this, if I leave it, I don't know, if it goes mouldy, sometimes that happens. I've got a spare one in my fridge. I saved my bag. You can put it in a Tupperware, whatever you like. Just put it in some either kombucha or preferably some of that sweet tea. And that can last for months in the fridge like that. So I'll put that guy away. Got a spare SCOBY for later. This one is now ready to leave for another week. Depending on, you should give your jar a clean every now and again. It's a good idea. And I've lost my rubber band. Oh, there it is. There we go. So that one's going to be for next week's brew. And now what I've done here is I've put some hibiscus and some basil leaves in there and made a really strong concentrated tea, which is going to be an interesting flavour. Usually I'd probably have just a little bit more in there. Look at that. That looks nice. So I'm going to put a cap on that. When you choosing your bottles, you want to use bottles that are able to hold carbonation. You don't want to use wine bottles. Water bottles may be okay. Plastic's okay if you're cool with plastic. Just depends on where you sit in that. But yeah, you want to have them pressure rated bottles. This is one of my classic ways that I used to do ginger kombucha. Just a little bit of crystallized ginger. Chop it up because it's going to swell and make it difficult to get out of there. I'm going to put that little bit of sugar in too. And it'd be nicer if they were fuller, but that's alright. There's just a little bit of sweet tea. The culture's going to eat into that. So I've got my crystallized ginger. These are just recycled bottles. That's fine. What else have I got? Oh, I just pulled some strawberry pulp out of the freezer before. It's going to be an interesting one. Oh no, I've got a floaty in there.
That's alright. Nothing wrong with floaties.
I don't really like fly floaties in my kombucha.
Oh, fly.
Yeah, fly must have flown in there. That's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Get out of there. They do like kombucha. It smells really good to them. I don't know, that might gross some of you out using a fly drink, but, you know, for me personally, it's my home badge. Yeah, it's alright. It's cool. So this is some frozen strawberry. You can use fruit juice. This is just what we happen to have in the freezer. I'm going to chop this up. And then we're going to have some delicious strawberry kombucha later. So the idea here is that I'm putting the lids on nice and tight because this is going to continue fermenting in the bottle. And all the gases that are created throughout that fermentation won't have anywhere to go. So they're going to dissolve back into the kombucha, and that's how I'm going to get fizzy kombucha. So I'm going to leave these out of the fridge for...
however long it takes.
However long it takes. So I'll check on them in a couple of days, and I'll do that with you guys, but I'll release the lid, and if it goes... like a fizzy soft drink, then it's ready to go in the fridge. And the other thing I've got here is just a bit of ginger, another way to do ginger. It's a really quick and easy way. I'm going to grate some of this ginger. Because you could juice ginger, but as you know, like if you've got a juicer, it's going to take a whole lot of ginger in the pipeline to kind of get the juice out, and you will have wasted that. But this is a nice way of juicing just a tiny bit of ginger. So I'm going to squeeze that pulp. I'll be with you in a second, Seiji. Squeeze and get the ginger juice out. And that is going to be so yum. So that's going to be really fun. We'll come back in a few days when these are carbonated. When they have, we'll put them in the fridge. They look quite pretty. You can put fresh herbs in there. You could do spice mixes. You could... use green tea. You can have it plain. You don't have to flavour it. You can just put it in the bottle, put a lid on nice and tight, come back in a few days and you'll have fizzy kombucha. And if you like flat kombucha, you can just drink it straight. When you taste it out of the jar, if there's no sweetness left, you want to add a little bit of sweetness to the bottle for this secondary carbonation if you want fizzy kombucha, so that it's the sugars, the bacteria and yeast have something to eat and turn that into... ferment it.
So what kind of sweetness? Like some juice, maybe?
Yeah, you could use juice. You could put a little bit of sugar in. Don't put too much sugar because
a bit more sweet tea, maybe? More
sweet tea. It could get a bit explosive putting too much in. So if you're experimenting, start with less and just keep trialing it out. And sometimes, you forget this guy on the bench, or you've got so much kombucha to drink that this sits here and it's like 4 weeks before you get to it. And it's so vinegary. There's lots of things that you can do with that vinegar. But don't be afraid if it's too much. Just tip it out, start again, and have that sort of flavourful kombucha.
What can you do with the vinegar kombucha?
I've heard of people making shampoo with it. It's very alkalizing, so it's really good, although it's very vinegary on the taste buds. You want to say hi?
Hi, Daddy.
Hey, Kelly.
Any other ideas of what you could do with it, Sean?
I like making whiskey sours.
Ooh, whiskey sours.
It's great as a cooking vinegar, as a salad dressing. You can use it as a cleaning product. Any use that you would normally use vinegar, you can substitute with kombucha vinegar.
Yeah, make your own vinegar at home. So yeah, that's just by leaving it for longer, and the culture will eat all the sugars out of there, and it's vinegar.
Cool.
Great. See you in a few days. I won't forget this time, and we'll check on the carbonation and go through that with you.